Today we are going to talk about MCP servers and what they actually are. So if you are related to AI, if you have been developing AI agents, or if you are in any way technical about AI, not just an AI user, you must have heard about MCP servers and how wonderful they are. Everybody is talking about how to use them and how wonderful they are for their development workflow, but nobody is actually talking about what they actually are and overall bigger picture, how do they fit in all this agentic development. So let's talk about this today. If you don't know me, my name is Sohail Hameed and I have a 28 plus years of experience in software engineering, and I have worked for the largest companies in the world like Compaq, and Amazon Web Services. And lately, for the past couple of years, I have been heavily involved in AI development. I build applications and AI automations for businesses. So if you have any such requirement, or if you want to learn how to do that, feel free to contact me. Let's get to the video. So before we talk about MCP servers, let's talk about what we actually want. Like, I mean, the very, very high level view. So suppose there is a user right here and it sends a query to an AI agent. An AI agent is basically anything that works with LLM and is able to take actions. It has an arsenal of tools that could use to do things, right? So that's by definition of AI agent. AI agent is basically, it's not just an LLM. It has an LLM to help it out. Well, that's the brain of the AI agent, but it has hands also. So think of them as hands. It can do things for you also. You cannot just chat with it. For example, it can send an email for you. It can do some kind of action. So once we combine LLM with the tools, this setup is called AI agent. So when a user sends a query to an AI agent which has LLM, it can basically talk to LLM and figure out what needs to be done. So essentially, it has access to different services. It can get the information from those services. It can retrieve the information from those services. It can write the information to the services. In other words, it can perform action for you. So this is the overall picture of how an AI agent works. You send the query, AI agent actually processes the query. As part of processing, it will talk to some services. It will perform some actions. It will come back and give you your response back. So this is what we want from an AI agent to do, right? Now let's see how it all fits with the MCP servers. Okay, so before we do that, let's talk about how the workflow looked like before the MCP servers were a thing, right? And that's not really too long ago. That's the thing about AI, right? Everything changes so fast that, just 6 months is a long time ago for AI, right? But yeah, just like 6 months ago, before MCP servers was a thing, this is how the workflows look like, okay? So again, the user sends the query to AI agent the same way as before. The developer of this AI agent writes tools. Now, tool is a piece of code that basically tells the AI agent how to do a particular thing. For example, if you want to make AI agent capable of sending emails, then you will have to write a tool that would allow AI agent to be able to send emails. And, for example, if you have to send an email, what do you need? You need an email service, like Gmail, for example, in this case, to talk to in order to be able to send the email or get the email. So what happens is as soon as the user sends the request to the AI agent looks up its tools and finds out which tool it's going to be using. Of course, it talks to the LLM, and LLM helps it figure out what tool it is needed and all this. But we are not talking about that because it's not in the MCP server path. So we will mostly talk about the things which are related to MCP server, right? So AI agent basically effectively figures out which tool it's going to be using. So one of those tools will say that, okay, in order to send the email, use this tool, and it has a set of functions that the developer has already written, which know how to access the Gmail service, right? So Gmail is from Google, so it knows how to talk to Google, and it knows how to retrieve the emails from there. It knows how to send the email over there. It knows how to search through the emails and all this. So if it is a tool to search internet, for example, then it knows how to talk to Google or some other search engine and send the keywords to the search engine, and it's going to get the results back from the search engine and all this. And basically the point is that this tool connects this AI agent to the external world, right? So that's how it goes. But this tool was being written by a developer, because these services, when they were developed, like Gmail and all this, when they were developed, they were not developed for AI, right? They were developed with an API for the developers to write the code and call those APIs. So they were kind of lagging behind as AI was developing. So developers went ahead and coded up their own tools, and in those tools they're going to basically try to capture all the functionality of the service that they want and make it easy for the AI agent to be able to access those services. So AI agent is just going to talk natural language from here and tell the tool, I want you to send this email, for example, right? And then the tool is going to take the contents of the email, the subject and the body and the email address that it's being sent to, and it's going to formulate it into a function call that, or API call that it's going to make to that service, and then the service is going to be able to do that. So this is how the things were going on. The point is that the developer actually wrote each and every tool in the AI agent, right? Similarly, the second tool is going to be accessing the other service, and the third tool is going to be accessing the other service, everything going through the internet. It's like usually external. So the tools are basically local, sitting right next to the AI agent, being part of the AI agent, and the services are obviously external, like Google and GitHub and Notion and all these services that are already existing. A developer would write the tool to connect to those services. But here's the thing. It's not just one developer and one AI agent. There are, a whole bunch of AI agents. Every time when someone would develop an AI agent, they will have to write the tools to make the AI agent functional. What it means that whenever two developers try to access the same service, say, to send email, they will have to write the tool themselves, which means that they both wrote the same kind of code. The code is not going to be identical, but the functionality is the same, and their corresponding AI agents will be talking to their tool, and there is a lot of redundancy here. So imagine there are like millions and millions of agents being written, and each agent was trying to send the email, and for every agent, there was a tool sitting next to the agent doing the exact same thing that other agents are doing. So, obviously there was a whole bunch of redundancy. So the AI engineers thought of this, or every service actually started thinking about this. How about we actually standardize it, right? This is what happens with everything. When we develop the same things for different services, we try to standardize it, right? So that everything becomes plug and play, and you could basically replace the services easily also. So that's another advantage of standardizing the services. So what happened is that they said, hey, if this is Gmail service, Google knows their service the best. So how about we put something in here in front of the service itself, and that becomes your point of contact. And every agent actually talks to that particular service, and it is standard, so independent of what kind of service you are actually providing. And every developer have to develop their own tool separately. So let's see how the world looks like after the MCP server has been introduced. By the way, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Anyways, so the same thing, the user sends a query to AI agent, and AI agent does not need any tool. If the services that it's using, they've provided their own MCP servers. Well, they still need the tools, but they are extremely lightweight. And all the pain of directly talking to the API is gone. We just talk to the MCP server and use the functions that it provides, and that's how we execute the actions. So the tools have become very lightweight, so we are going to ignore them in this video. So, for example, this is the service here. It was just a service before. Now it has put an MCP server in front of it. Okay, so it still provides the direct access to the service because other applications are still using it. But it has put an MCP server in front of it also, right? And all the services are now doing that. The AI agent, instead of talking to the service directly, it actually starts the conversation by talking to the MCP server. So what it does is that if it has to send an email, for example, it sends the call to an MCP server. Of course, the developer has already mentioned here that this service has the MCP server. This is how you access that MCP server. That's all, right? But then agent already knows, because it's now a standard protocol, it knows how to talk to an MCP server. First thing it does, agent says that, okay, I have to send the email. I'm going to ask this particular MCP server to let me know what it is capable of doing. So it basically sends this query to this MCP server. The MCP server returns a set of functions that it can call to do all the things that this service can do. And the best part is that since the service itself wrote this MCP server, the service itself knows the best about their services. So they wrote this MCP server in the most comprehensive form than an external developer could write. So before, the developers used to write their own tools, and those tools were whatever their understanding of that service was, they would write that. But now here, the service itself is writing this MCP server. So it's definitely writing it in such a way that it's very comprehensive. It covers everything that the service supports, and it covers everything that the service does not support, right? So AI agent knows completely what this service is capable of as soon as it gets that information back from the MCP server. Once it knows that, it knows how to send the email, how to read the emails, how to delete the emails, how to do anything that you can think about with the emails, right? At that point, assuming that the service created the MCP server in a comprehensive way. So at this point, the AI agent knows that, okay, this is how I do this particular thing, right? And then it can pick and choose the functions that it needs to call, or the endpoints that it needs to call, in order to perform that particular action that the user has asked it to do. And then it performs those actions and sends the response back to the user. So this simplifies the whole thing drastically. There are millions and millions of AI agents being developed, and all of them need tools. And this actually allows the developers to not worry about writing the tools for themselves. They just basically know that if their AI agent needs to access this particular service, all we need to do is to basically call its MCP server, and then boom, we will know what it is capable of and what we need to do to execute the actions that the user has asked us to do. So next time when you send a query to the user to do something, it basically just goes and does it. So as an analogy, think of MCP servers as the oven that you see in the kitchen, right? If you look at the oven, it has all those controls on top of it. It is not just a black box. That's how it used to be before. So without MCP servers, think of an oven with just a black box. Maybe you can open that oven and you can close it, and that's it. There are no control panels, no buttons, no nothing. If you had to access the oven, you had to create your own buttons to set the temperature, to start the oven, to have a timer in there, and all this. You have to do it all by yourself. If I would sell you an oven like this, would you buy it? Obviously, it's very difficult, right? But the ovens come with an entire control panel with all the buttons and everything, right? That can start the oven, that can set the temperature, that can, have the timer in it, and all these kind of things, right? It comes with this. And you looking at it is like accessing the MCP server. You look at it and you say, okay, this button does this, this button does this, this button does this, and you can basically tell just by looking at the oven that, okay, this oven is capable of doing this, 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 and that. And then you can pretty much figure out that, okay, I'm going to press this button to heat up the oven, and I'm going to press this button to start the oven. I'm going to press this button to stop the oven, and all that. I mean, it's a very crude analogy, but that's what it is. The difference is, that the fridge has a different interface, even though all MCP servers for all the services have the exact same interface, right? Basically, you could ask the clients or the service or the MCP server what it is capable of doing. So if there was one more level we could go in the ovens, that you could actually talk to the oven and you could ask it that, hey, what are you capable of? And oven would actually come back and tell you. That would be an exact analogy with the MCP servers. But for now, you're looking at the oven and figuring out based on the control buttons, this is your MCP server. It tells you what, this oven is capable of doing. So, that is the difference. That simplified the whole thing. You can see between these two, like before, it was pretty complicated and a lot of burden on the developer, but now it is very simple architecture here. Every service provides their own MCP server, and that basically relieves the developers to not worry about writing the code to integrate the agent into the service. It's already there. Just ask MCP server and you will know what it is capable of doing. So this is what MCP servers are, what the world looked like before MCP servers, and how it looks like after the MCP servers, how it got simplified and how it became easier for the developers to build agents. That's what changed the way people build agents, and that actually kind of exploded because it was kind of a friction to write AI agent, to write their tools also along with it. I used to hate it, and I always wondered, why can't we standardize it? And boom, this happened. It got standardized, and now the agent, the developer's life have become easier, and we could develop agents left and right very easily, and we don't have to worry about the internals of the services that we need to use within the agent. I hope this helped, and this clarified a lot of things. If you have any questions, put it in the comment. Of course, I have simplified some of the things here. We haven't talked about LLM at all. LLM is also in the picture. LLM helps in trying to figure out which MCP servers to use and what to do after the information is retrieved from the MCP servers. But this actually should give you a good idea of what MCP server is if you've been wondering all this time. So yeah, if you like this kind of videos, please like, subscribe, and follow me. It really helps. Thank you.